Paul's giving us his like mugshot picture. Give us a smile, Paul. Come on.
There you go.
Sure. He doesn't know he's.
There we go. All right, Madam Chair, we are ready when you are.
I'm calling the Fallbrook Regional Health District Board to their meeting on Wednesday, November 12th at 6 p.m. Let us begin with the pledge. In honor of Veterans Day just passed. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have a quorum. As soon as you take the roll.
We don't need to do roll because everybody's here.
I love
We're
that.
not doing any videos.
Excellent. We established the quorum. And we did it out of order. Sorry, guys. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comments in the public place or in the Zoomy place?
We received nothing via email. We have no one else on Zoom and no one in the audience has indicated interest.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item D, we have 4 consent items. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we go into our discussion items. Consideration of the, and approval of the FY 24-25 audit report. And I see we have our Auditor General here. Good to see you, sir. Just before you start your walkthrough with us,
Yes.
I'll wait until after you do your walkthrough. I have 3 or 4 comments, but I'll save those. So, Rachel, would you like to give us an on-ramp?
Sure. So Paul is our main audit dude, as we like to call him. See, if I can get him to laugh, then we've done our job here. So with Nigro and Nigro, this is their 3rd year now doing our audit. So Paul, I'll just turn this over to you and let you discuss your audit findings.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Paul Kmark, managing partner over here at Nigro and Nigro, here to share with you the results of how the numbers came to rest for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. You can move to the next page, please.
You're right there.
I can't use your mouse.
I got you.
Couple things as your auditor we must discuss. So the overall scope of work was to perform the audit test work of the entity's annual financial statements report and to report on the entity's internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance in accordance with government auditing standards, as you are such a government agency here in the state of California. Our responsibility in accordance with professional standards is to form and express an opinion about whether the annual financial statements results that have been prepared by management are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Our responsibility is to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance, not absolute, about whether the annual financial statements are free of material misstatements. And we're to consider the entity's internal controls and segregation of duties over accounting procedures and financial reporting as we perform audit test work. Such considerations were solely for the purpose of determining our audit. Go down a little bit. Providing assurance concerning such internal controls. We're giving you an opinion on financial reporting. We're not giving you an opinion on all on all the internal controls of the finance and accounting department. The audit results, we're issuing a clean opinion. An auditor's unmodified opinion has been issued to the annual financial statements. The annual financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The adopted significant accounting policies have been consistently applied throughout the report. Estimates are considered reasonable for your non-cash items such as depreciation expense. There were new GASB pronouncements that were adapted this year in regards to compensated absences calculation and a risk assessment for operating revenues. Required disclosures are properly reflected in the annual financial statements throughout the report. The AICPA has issued AUC 265 in communicating internal control related matters identified in the audit, and we're to say to you tonight that there were no material issues arose to be reported to the governing board or management. And if there were any minor issues, they were discussed with Rachel and she turned them down, normally and stuff like that, but finally then corrected them at the end of the day, after we beat her into submission. But no, that's a different story. Sorry.
Listen, I'll take as good as I give. I get it.
No, everything was corrected immediately by Rachel and the staff. That was great. So how do we make you better? Well, you get rid of Rachel. No, just kidding.
Don't listen to the tag.
Gotta aim back. No, if we see something, we want to say something, any best practice solutions that we come about by seeing so many different clients, so many different special districts out there, we want to convey those to management. We want to make the finance and accounting department better. And if anything there, we consider that the audit ROI, that's your return on the investment. So on the next page, we move forward. We'll talk about how the numbers came to rest at the end of the fiscal period there. Kind of a 50,000 foot view down on what the changes were on the flow statement on the ins and outs. So property taxes showed a 6% increase this year, of $150,000 increase. Investment earnings still churning very well. Got a $14,572 increase there overall. We did have some grant revenues this year, almost $30,000. And other revenues turned out to be increased by about $35,245. So total revenues overall were increased about $220,000 for the year. Salaries and wages came in at about $78,000 more, adding a position, COLA increases, changes there, but very consistent. Employee benefits as well, very consistent between the two periods there. Materials and services, about $125,000 to the more. Community healthcare programs has a little downsizing of about $42,000, and depreciation expense, which is non-cash, of $1,621 decrease there. So your change in your revenues and expenses to the positive, $738,949 for the year. And how did that change there? If we go down a little bit, if you scroll down just a little bit more there, we'll show you cash and investments overall went from 9.7 million to 9.5. So that was a decrease of about 102,000 there. But we show a bottom line of 738,949. So how did that change? The difference there, main culprit of the difference there in the change in cash is we had a capital asset addition this year. So the additions that you've been making, the improvements that you're making, that was about $780,485 that we added to the balance sheet and will depreciate over time. Depreciation expense was only $63,886, so we're going to decrease that and say that, only cash spent to the bottom line was $716,599. So we take, at the very bottom here, we take the revenues and expenses, move the change in capital, change in accrued interest, waiting for that interest to become cash, change in property tax receivable, change in your prepaid, change in your compensated absences to the plus there, and had to pay out some accounts payable there. So $102,969, we reconcile that back there overall between the full accrual basis and the cash basis overall here. We did see a nice change in your investment earnings portfolio, 4.67%. Investment management takes management and still yielding a nice return there of 4.67%. So very successful year, I believe. And with everything you've done with the organization overall, as we saw during the audit, and even the change in cash there overall nominal. So any questions?
Board colleagues, any questions or clarifications or curiosities? Thank you so much. I just want to make note of a few things that caught my eye that made me feel so good about our finance team. On page 131 of the audit Good thing I've read these things a lot in my years. I was very pleased to see that the accumulated amount of our investments is $9,599,726. The reason why that makes me very hopeful and proud is that we're conserving our resources for the next leap in terms of services, in terms of facilities, in terms of employees and expertise. And I think that that's a perfect place for us to be in as we look towards the next 3 to 5 years of what we're going to do for this community. So that on page 131, or I'm sorry, it's actually 22. It's 131 of the agenda. Okay, on page 32, just to share my joy, the district's net position increased 5.98% or $738,000. That's with all that we've done, we still had a net gain. The revenues from all sources is up by 7.41%. So we're pulling things in, and not just property tax, but other things are happening too. And the total expenses for the district's operations increased by 7.33. So we are showing a reflection of the increases we've made in the last year to the Health and Wellness Center, to keep our grants flowing, to make sure facilities are in their best shape. And those things just kind of jumped out at me as very happy end of the year and good for our future. So I want to thank Judith and Susan and Raquel and Rachel and the finance committee sitting over here. This is a team sport. You win the game before you get to the game. And we've won a lot of good things during this year fiscally. So thank you to Susan and the whole team here who pulled this off for us this year. Thank you so much, Mr. Auditor. We appreciate your working with us. It's been a delight. We've had a pretty rough history before you came along with auditors that didn't get us, but you get us. So thank you.
We get you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and approve the audit report as shown. May I have a motion?
As treasurer, I ought to move that we approve the audit.
Beautiful. Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Very good.
All right. Thank you
Thank you.
all. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful Thanksgiving in the coming weeks and wonderful holidays coming up. We'll talk to you guys next year.
And to you too.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, moving to E2, consideration of the October 1st, November 5th Finance Committee meeting packets and minutes. Let's have a motion to approve and then we'll go to any questions.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding that item? The meeting packets and minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. E3, consideration of resolution 474 to authorize administrators of the Charles Schwab account. Let's have a motion for discussion.
Let's discuss.
Let's have a motion first.
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Very good. Discussion. Any questions relative to the authorization relative to Charles Schwab account?
Do you want any background discussion on it for Judith? Do you want to give the brief overview since you touch it more than I do?
Yeah, the brief overview of this account, this is a simple IRA account that belonged to the district sometime preceding my arrival in 2020 or sometime before that. We did locate it right around 2021, but in order to find out now if there's any funds left in it or what we need to do with any of the monies, if there's anybody left in as a participant, we need to be able to be assigned as administrators. In order to do that, we need to have the board give us the approval to go forward with that. So that's basically what we're asking for, to see how we can wrap that up so that we can then move forward. I think we've discussed that we would like to move on to a different type of simple IRA or 401k. So in trying to clean up the past, I need to move on with that again.
Kind of a ghost ship. We gotta bring it into the harbor and.
Yeah, we literally have no idea what's in this account, because it preceded all of us.
Okay, well, it's a geriatric account, so let's get it wound up. Good to go? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. E4.
I'll take this one. So as you'll recall, for the last few meetings, we have been negotiating with Dr. Skio regarding an amendment to the purchase agreement regarding the lot line adjustment between the two buildings. We had what we believed was conclusion to that. This morning, Dr. Skio brought forward a concern that the new survey that we had done is not specific enough as to where the line between the two properties are. He doesn't believe that there is a equitable 50-50 split in the dirt between the two buildings, and that it's not clear enough in the survey drawing for the exact down to the inch 50-50 equation. So he indicated that he would like to have more clarity on that. And of course, that would likely prompt a small change in potential property tax that we had agreed that we would pay him to reimburse. And then on top of that, he also indicated that this will now run into the first payment of property taxes for the county. So the district would have to reimburse him another amount of that. That changes the amount that is in the agreement. So that makes this agreement not really correct. And so at this point, I think we need to discuss whether or not to well, obviously, I don't think the agreement can be approved as it stands. And the board can decide whether or not we will continue to go forward with additional survey, which will require, there will be some more expenses to the survey to have it down to that level of specificity. There will also have to be a recalculation of repayment of property tax in order to draft a new agreement. And that came forward this morning. So the agreement that you have in your packet is not viable.
So we're seeking, we're seeking board consensus to proceed with or not, to proceed or not with these additional adjustments. I know we're all fatigued by this. I feel like we're trying to get across the goal line here. Who has a thought and who has a feeling?
Well, I'd like to know from Matt, what is your advice?
So I do think that the agreement as it is in your packets is no longer approvable. I think that's been withdrawn. In terms of continuing to negotiate, you can absolutely continue to negotiate. Certainly we would want to hear them out. That seems to be the direction that the board has been going. Options past that spin off into things we can discuss in closed session. And if we want to get a closed session on the books, I can absolutely give you a rundown of all of the options. But I think right now it sounds like staff still thinks that we're close to the finish line, hopefully. But you know, we'll know whether or not we are, I think, over the next couple of weeks for good, probably.
If we say go ahead and keep talking.
Yes, and I mean, that's just a go ahead and keep talking. I don't think you all even really need a formal vote at that point.
Correct. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and keep talking. Are people comfortable with that?
I had a talking, means just talking or actually getting a surveyor, because that will cost money instead of talking.
Correct. I have reached out to the surveyor to ask if, with his existing information that he has and photos, if he can make a more clear line. If he is not able to do that, I've asked him to provide me an estimate to come out and redo a component of the survey. That cost would be relatively nominal, but it is, just one more expense and or, delay in the process.
So theoretically, it'd be an amendment to the existing survey?
So, it would amend the existing survey, it would redraw the plot line from where it is with more specificity so that there is exactly 50-50 to the inch, in between the dirt line between the two properties. Then the agreement would have to be rewritten with that in there, as well as a recalculation of the district reimbursing him for that proportion of property tax.
Rachel, when you say nominal, are we talking 4 figures, 3
We're
figures?
probably talking around, and this is gonna be a rough guesstimate, but I would say between $300 to $900 likely, because the bulk of the survey was already done. The other boundary lines don't have to be redrawn. It is just this one specific thing. The expense comes in that the surveyor has to physically come back out and reshoot it.
Right.
If he can do it with his existing imagery and such, then he's not gonna, probably give us anything other than a small expense at most.
But then you also said that he is gonna pay taxes again. And so even if the line is adjusted to his liking, that would increase the taxes for this round?
Well, it really won't change the amount of dollars that we're gonna pay in property taxes, other than we will be paying one more installment of the property taxes than the figure that's in the agreement specifies. So that amount would
But
have
that
to
doesn't
change.
just, that won't stop him from saying now that the line is adjusted for him specifically, that what he wants, that maybe he would want ask more money for the tax.
Yeah, and I would have to probably recalculate by maybe another foot, 5 feet, whatever that potential property tax difference could be. So that whole calculation will have to be redone.
So it seems to me, if we're comfortable with 300 to 900 potential increase, and Rachel's time and attorney time, would we like to have her go forward and hang in there and get this thing nailed down so it doesn't lord itself over us forever?
Yes.
I definitely agree with that plan.
I'm only afraid that he might come up with something else if he came up with this last minute today.
Yeah, well, that's
gonna
always
come.
Yeah, I agree with you because we've been going through this for years. And what I would say to that is, this is based upon an actual material. You can measure it and know it. The others have been so elusive, so I get the caution and I appreciate it. But it would be so great to just get this tidied up, because we're just in for tug of war if we don't get this settled. That's hard on staff. So shall we say go forth back into the Coliseum?
I think the fray.
I'm bringing the living room.
Bring in a tiger.
Bring your line, sure.
Is the current property line in the parking lot at all, or is it just in the dirt outside the parking?
The proposed lot line adjustment that we're talking about is in the dirt. So, if you've seen the building, you've got his building, the wall, and then it abuts into the hillside, which has another small wall that allows for a drainage area. That stands out about almost 3 feet. The proposed alternate line that we're talking about goes from that line through the dirt to the end of the wall. Not his building wall, which there was some confusion this morning. He thought it was from his building wall. So then his question to me was, well, is that line from that retaining wall through the dirt, is that exactly 50-50 on both sides? And I can't answer that without a much more detailed.
And where is the current line? Not
The
the-
current line is about 3 feet past the first set of parking rows right here.
So it goes into the pavement?
Oh, yes.
It does, okay.
Yeah, that, we're trying to
Consider-
clear the way to finish our improvements in the parking lot on top of all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, I don't know how appropriate or inappropriate, but maybe instead of trying to convince him that a mistake was made, we just say, because it seems annoying that you're paying for somebody's property taxes who owned that land at the time in the past, that maybe the approach would be, we would like to buy a little section of your land at fair market value. Are you willing to sell it to us? And we will pay for the appraisal and the survey and all that. And if he says no, then I would suggest move on. Leave it the way, as we kind of discussed in facilities, just, it's not worth the hassle. But anyway, just recommendation.
Good thought.
Is that a thought we want to follow up on?
Oh,
I mean, that would increase the amount that we've already invested in this process. But it might be an opportunity for us, should this course of action fail again. Perhaps we approach it from that angle instead.
Because right now, it's worthless to him. It has no value. He's never used it. He never will.
And the intent of the sale was never such that that was
Right.
part of it. That was an error in the legal description, because once upon a time, before this building was even built, that's where the lot line was. The district owned both sets of properties. So when this building was built, they never did a lot line adjustment because the district owned both properties. It wasn't double checked when we sold the property in 2020. And then when we went to do the solar infrastructure upgrade, that's when we discovered the lot line was in the wrong spot. Or just wrong.
So we'll go back in with this solution, and if not, we've got a good backup plan to put it to bed. I know, with great distaste in our mouth.
So, to recap for a motion, tonight's motion is that we will withdraw the agreement as it is presented in the agenda. And I think that's all we actually need to make for a motion, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Okay,
so moved.
second, very good. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Okay, E5. Consideration and approval of the new job description, administrative services coordinator, finance and systems. Rachel, would you like to give us your words of wisdom?
Sure. We did bring this to finance just to let everyone know that that was discussed there. So the concept behind this position is, currently we use a contract bookkeeper 1 day a week. And our bookkeeper is fine. This is not a reflection upon her work. What we are finding though is that as the number of things we do, our bookkeeping has a little bit more of a need. We're also finding in this position, you'll see in the title, it's called Finance and Systems. As we have upgraded our systems, and Judith has done a great job getting a lot of our things automated, we have almost 30, is that what you said? Almost 30 to 40 software things that are used that require a lot of maintenance, right? Passwords, contracts, updates, a lot of investment in time and energy and knowing how things work, right? And what we're finding is that with the admin team, that it's too much for any one person to add on to the existing job duties that we have now. So we've re-looked at the allocation of duties and tasks, and this position would replace our contract bookkeeper. So we would have someone on site who is 5 days a week being able to do our bookkeeping. We have already discussed this with Susan, our in-house accountant, our contract accountant, sorry, and how this could also speed up and facilitate our financials. So this person would replace the contract bookkeeper and handle many and most and all of those systems and a lot of just the ongoing updates of service contracts with those things. Judith would still be the primary oversight for all of those, but this person would be the one who's resetting all of your passwords when things get lost, that kind of thing. They would also do double duty with Jess at the front in reception so that when Jess goes to lunch, this other person can cover that seat downstairs. We do see a lot more activity here than we used to, so that position really needs to have someone sitting in that spot. There's a number of different things that you'll see that we wrote into the job description. The primary piece is obviously the bookkeeping component. The position right now would end up with taking in what we're paying the contract bookkeeper to what we would pay staff. We're looking at about a $40,000 to $45,000 increase to the overall district expenses. It would fall into salaries and staff and out of independent. But that's what you're looking at. We believe that this would really streamline what we do and how quickly we can do it. Because right now, a great many of these tasks fall onto Judith, or they fall off of her, overflow from her, either onto me or onto Teresa. And that obviously slows things down considerably because once they get onto my desk, good luck. Who knows when I'm gonna find it? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But there's just a lot of things of that nature that just really we have grown beyond how we used to do things. Once upon a time, we had a contract bookkeeper who was here 3 days a week part-time. We moved a great many of those job duties and created Judith's position and reallocated as different staff left. We've now discovered that as we've grown, the once a week bookkeeper is difficult to manage. Kind of fun.
Okay. Well, let's have a motion to approve in order to discuss.
So moved.
Thank you. A second, please. Second. Thank you very much. Discussion.
The finance committee did hear about that in more detail. And I believe I speak for the committee that we find this to be of value to the district.
I appreciate the line bilingual in English and Spanish, not required, but I like that it's there.
Yeah, that's actually a component that we put into every position that we'll hire with the district. This isn't a position that's necessarily constituent centered, but because we are one team and everyone answers the phone, and if we're doing a community event, it's important that we can communicate with our community. And
Especially
so,
because they're gonna also be covering down here.
right, and that means answering phones, and it's nice to be able to speak to someone in their language. Yeah.
I was particularly happy to see number 9 on the hit parade. Go back up there. There.
Oh, yeah.
This whole miasma of vendors and consultants and contract, that's, I'm sure that you've felt it. It's so important because just the insurance certificates for contractors. So I was glad to see that very well delineated there.
And that's actually going to get even more important. There was a new law that was just passed that will require the district to manage a different component of certified payrolls on public works positions. I haven't read through that law yet. There's a webinar. I'll let you know. What component of it that we're supposed to just receive and file? Obviously, we're doing a lot of public works, and that is a time suck. So being able to at least say for the next 3 years, that's going to be another important task that comes into this position.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're so welcome. E6, consider emergency grant funding to the Fallbrook Food Pantry. May I have a motion for discussion? And a second?
Second.
Very good. Probably don't need much more information than we know.
Annabelle, were you the second? Cindy?
It was like all three.
All three of you.
Oh, you
Okay.
know, said, okay, then I'll choose. And a vote on it.
Yeah, we were all like, wait, I didn't catch that.
You're right, it was all three of you.
Right.
I didn't finish my sentence.
Thank you. So we know that some things are gonna be settling down, but not in the near future. What's your read on this, Rachel, with our partner?
So I did reach out to Shay, who is the executive director of the food pantry. I emailed back and forth with her on November the 3rd when the idea that the shutdown would be lifted was still a dream. She indicated, and we put the email from her into your packet, showing the significant increase that they're seeing. Even if the shutdown ends and everything opens up tomorrow, we're going to see a 2-month backlog of people before anyone's even close to catching up. We know that we have a strong military family population. We know that we have a significant SNAP population, WIC population, let alone our own level of folks who are lower income and rely upon this as nutrition support. So the food pantry has been a long time partner, a solid, trusted partner. I would hope that the board could see that it would be helpful for us to support them. From a budgetary standpoint, keep in mind that at the beginning of the year, we were hoping to have our partnership with some additional clinical services come online, to the tune of about $41,000 a month in contribution that we thought we'd have in that partnership. That hasn't come to pass yet, so those funds have not been expended. So those funds could be reallocated to this district direct care service line. It would fit within the budget. We do have the funds for it. I'd like to see if the board would consider potentially a 3-month level of support at about that $40,000 per month.
For a total of 120.
For about $120,000. That is more than we provided for them in grant funding this year. But this isn't really, truly overused word, unprecedented event. Shay's indicated that they have already been seeing such an increase. She put on here in one example on Halloween, from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., they saw 200 families. In those 2 days between that, the 2nd and 3rd of November, they served 1,100 people. So their numbers and their reporting justify the increased need that they've been seeing. So keep in mind, the food pantry serves the entire community that the district serves. They do a great job of registering and being able to keep data on anyone who does come through their services, as well as being able to provide those emergency boxes for 1 to 2 visits for anyone who may be in a very short transitory time. So that's what I would hope the board could discuss and consider.
Did Shay give an amount that she was hoping for?
No, she simply let me know that it costs the pantry approximately $55,000 a month to just run smoothly. They were anticipating an expense of $65,000 to rise from $55,000 to $65,000 minimally in that first month or so. So this recommendation would cover that deficit and allow for the unknown, and would potentially allow them to support through the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday.
If we believe food is health,
It is health.
I can't think of anything more deserving of our funds.
Agreed. And you'll recall that was my concern when we were going through the grant process, was that enough? And so thank you for giving me that assurance, and thank you for bringing this to us so that we can help.
Any other questions or comments? Good. All in favor of this recommendation with the added details that Rachel just gave us? Signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed?
So I just want to make sure I'm clear, we're agreeing to the $40,000 a month for a 3-month time period as an addition to their current grant contract.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Just want to make sure I had that clear.
And we took a look at that, and we do think that's within your grant policy to be able to do so. So,
Thank you. We wouldn't want to scribble outside the lines.
no, the lawyer.
I mean, once he leaves. Okay.
Let me take a quick coffee.
Okay, comments, from my board colleagues, item F, anything to report? We had some great picture taking since we've seen you. Thank you, Raquel, for organizing that. The Little League, which starts at 5 and goes up. We're holding this giant sign and these kids run up to us and fall over the sign. It was quite hilarious. And the girls softball team out in Bonzel, at the new Willow Park, so beautiful out there. There's a cricket club that plays there. Who knew? Cricket. It's just beautiful. I did talk to parents at each of the photography thing, and I said, now, will you do us a favor? When folks say, I don't know where my tax money goes, remind them that this is one way it goes, that we get their property tax money and then we turn it back out to the community. And they were all appreciative of knowing that. They had no idea how those mechanisms work. And I said, have everybody actually look at their property tax bill and look at the left-hand side. I pay $40 I pay $80 a year to support the bond for the high school. The last one. You know, if we could just be cognizant of what we get for the money and then also insist on accountability. But the point is, good governance can do good things for the people. So they were very open to that. They were very excited, and that was fun. Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah. What else do we want to say?
Oh, I wanted to say for the Harvest Festival.
Yes.
The table that was there. It was nice being there, part of the community. I was at another table, so I couldn't be there, but thank you for doing the plans. We grew some seeds.
Yay!
Almost dying, but we did it.
Oh,
That's all we wanted.
So it was
Yeah.
a good event.
Yes.
It was a great day.
Katya and Raquel and Jasmine were the leaders of the band. I was there for a few hours. And I was able to talk to 4 people about, why don't we have an urgent care? And 2 of them said, well, okay, and walked away. And the third one's a retired pharmacist. And he said, I get it now, I get it. I said, good. But the whole thing with the trick or treat, and they got to pick a package of seeds, and they got a pot, and they got dirt, and then they got a little candy bar, and the parents, and they got little stickers to put on their pot. Very well done. It was a good outreach, a goodwill outreach.
Jasmine did really well.
Yes, I was gonna say
Jasmine
that's
did very well.
Jasmine gets all the credit
Yes,
for putting
she
that
did great.
together because we had a discussion about the type of activity. And I was like, there's gotta be something alive on there. She really worked hard to try to find it.
And I will say, Annabelle was across the way at the Girl Scout table. And that was cool to see that the Girl Scouts are alive and well, and she's a leader in that group. So it was a nice day. It was a nice day.
It was hot.
It
We
was,
made it through it.
mhm, yeah, it was hot. It was hot. We kept moving the little. We kept.
Harvest Festival in Fallbrook, of course it's 90.
Yeah. Okay, friends, please notice our wonderful things that we do through the month. We'll be having our regular Finance Facilities Strategic Planning Committee meetings. Come on down if you're interested in the guts of the conversation. And with that, have a blessed Thanksgiving, everybody. And
Thank you.
a safe journey home, wherever that may be.
You sound like you've been flying on Southwest Airlines.